What's up, YouTube? Now, I know she gonna say something about her part. We got Tisha Tales, y'all. Sean Combs, The Untold Reckoning, episode 1. Okay, she may not say nothing because she was in the last. They left Tisha Tales to the end, man. Golly, boy, I felt so good. I felt so good when shout out to 50 Cent, man, and got Tisha Tales in there, man. You know you on the right track, man, when you surround yourself by the right people, man. You know, I am so glad that Tisha was part of the documentary. I'm glad she's doing her thing and she's working very hard. Shout out to her. Because I am so mad over that little boy over there who can't get right, yelling and saying all these nasty things to Tisha while she trying to do her podcast. He trying to do his podcast. So his podcast is filled with negativity while he fighting to keep his butt out of jail. He fighting to get, then he got a nerve to tell me something. Tisha don't like black men. Why would you say something like that, little boy? When you are dating a Spanish type girl, I don't even know what race she is, you don't like black women. It's clear you don't like black women because you are yelling at a black woman, and it shouldn't even be a color thing. You shouldn't be yelling at a woman like that, period. I don't care what color she is. Shame on you. You should be helping people and being nice and happy. Anyway, man, I always go too deep. Uncle Mike always go too deep to try to preach to people how to be nice to each other. That should be automatic. That's what God wants. It should be automatic. So anyway, Sean Combs, The Untold, I already read the daggone thing. I'm getting pissed off. I'm in my feelings now. Y'all hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell. Let's check it out, man. Diddy Combs' own lawyer. Yeah. Let's check it out.
Described the billionaire music mogul, currently facing serious sex trafficking charges in a New York court.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs.
Sean Diddy Combs. Sean Diddy Combs.
Sean Diddy Combs.
Sean Diddy Combs.
They won't even give me a permit for the parties, man. They don't want me to throw the parties no more.
I sat in the courtroom. I saw Diddy's mask slip.
Dang, I saw the mask slip.
The arrogance, the silence, all fighting for one man's soul. Saw people throw themselves out as a shield to protect their idol.
This is a guy who is just, the energy and the longing to dominate and be successful.
And I saw victims bravely come forward. And I saw the public not really understand. And that's when I realized, in order to understand where Diddy is now, you have to understand where he came from. Diddy is a certified monster. But the thing is, every monster has an origin. This one started in a child's bedroom with dark secrets nobody could talk about. See, everybody knows the story of the fame of Diddy, but there's a childhood that nobody wants to touch until now. You guys, monsters aren't born. They are assembled piece by piece. And today, in the episodes to come, we're going to decode the making of a monster, the making of Diddy, piece by piece. Welcome to the Diddy Files.
Sugar.
Out of the trial, the one thing people kept asking me is, how did a man this powerful, this connected, this respected, become the center, ground zero of some of the most horrific allegations we've seen in the last decade? What? And that's when I got to thinking, and you want my opinion, and I know you do, that's why I'm here. Monsters just don't fully appear. Or actually, monsters don't appear fully formed. Monsters are built, and they're built piece by piece. Let's look at Diddy, and it's a roll sheet. A murdered father, a house full of strangers, a childhood soaked in adult chaos, or what a lot of his close childhood friends call a brothel. Literally, they said he grew up in the middle of a brothel. And a boy, who learned early that control is safer than vulnerability. An image is way more profitable than truth. This isn't a celebrity expose, it's an origin story. And once you understand where it begins, everything that comes later makes sense. Frightening sense, but it makes sense. Today, we're not going to chase the headlines. We're starting at the beginning because that's where the real story is. Welcome to the Diddy Files. Now let's take it back where it all started. And I know what most of you guys are thinking. It started in Harlem. Nah, it started at Mount Vernon. You see, Harlem was the first lie that Diddy ever told. And it might have actually been the first lie that he told himself.
Money earned in Mount Vernon.
Look at it. What do we know? He was born in Harlem. But nobody tells you he immediately moved out of Harlem after the tragic passing of his father. And his mom, Janice Combs, moved on to Mount Vernon. Now, what happened in Mount Vernon? That's something we're going to have to get into because that might have been where he got his proclivities and even his taste in men. But what's Mount Vernon? Well, for those of you guys that don't know Mount Vernon, okay, it is described as super nice homes, nice private Catholic schools, Little League, altar boys, all of which Diddy was involved in. Mount Vernon was as sheltered as you can get. It was firmly middle class. Diddy had no worries, and Janice Combs worked 2-3 jobs to make sure the kids had. Now, admittedly, a single mom raising kids after the father was murdered is nobody's fairy tale. But when she said she worked 2 or 3 jobs, did anybody talk about the after hours speakeasy she allegedly ran out of that home? Think about it. Even his close friend Tim Patterson said, Diddy grew up in Mount Vernon, New York. Janice moved her young family there after the father, Melvin, was murdered in 1972. Now, we're going to talk about Melvin's murder, but let's get into this, right? Because this was the first lie Diddy ever sold. See, Diddy always understood, and this is why he was such a genius and so inspirational. He understood the power of his blackness. And there is no other way to say it. He understood that at the time he was coming up, hip-hop culture was forming. It was becoming the new rock and roll. He understood that the nation was captivated by it. They saw their favorite rappers. They wanted to be them. They wanted to be in the same rules that all the pretty girls wanted to be around the rappers. But who wanted to be the rappers? Middle America, white America, or should we say corporate America, which back then when the music industry was highly segregated, it actually was run by white America. See, Diddy understood that white America was captivated with the urban market, but they didn't trust it. And they wanted to be a part of it, literally to rub elbows, but they were afraid also. Diddy understood how to commodify it, but to commodify it, he would have to become the person that they wanted to be around. A shy, quiet kid that was allegedly bullied in one of Mount Vernon's best Catholic school. You probably went to the same school as the record exec did. They don't want to be around you. They wanted to be where DMX and all those other people were. So what did he do? He knew not to say he was from Mount Vernon. He became Harlem all day, every day, which did 2 things. It gave Harlem the respect it deserved in those rooms of tastemakers, because Harlem for New York was the epicenter of style, fashion, culture. And it gave Diddy credibility. He wasn't just some dorky kid from a Mount Vernon Catholic school that was allegedly bullied. No, he was your favorite rapper's best friend. He, through his tough guy thug persona, could offer you safe passage into the rooms you want to be in, the parties you want to be around, the women you hope will flock to your feet. He offered the corporation saw as Black America. He offered them not only safe passage, but he said if the price was right, he could deliver it to them on a platter, and deliver it he did. Again, as we get into the Diddy Files, you will actually see Diddy wasn't shaped by Harlem. He was shaped by the performance of Harlem. He did not grow up in the hood. He grew up understanding how valuable it was to pretend you did. So he already crafted the perfect image of Diddy from Harlem. But what If you're looking at the eyes of outsiders into the black community that want to be a part of the stereotype, for good or bad, what else do you need? Well, you need to be a tough guy. But where do you really get that cred? You get it for the streets. And Diddy figured out a clever way to make everybody think it was in his blood, or better yet, he got it from his daddy. You see, let's talk about Melvin Combs, the murder, the myth, and the crime lord. Now, Diddy's father was allegedly tied to major Harlem drug lords. This is widely reported. Some people actually even allege that Diddy's father might have been an FBI informant. Now, to be fair, that's never been verified. But judging from the chaos that surrounded Diddy's life and the way he had a mother and father that was larger than life, well, it leaves a lot. It leaves a lot to be desired. Again, Diddy grew up in Mount Vernon, New York, a suburb on the fringes of Upper Manhattan. Janice had moved there with her young family after Diddy's father, Melvin, was murdered in 1972. Now, Melvin was, even though we don't know if he was an informant, he was a known associate of Harlem drug kingpins, including Nicky Barnes, Willie Abraham, and Frank Lucas. Melvin was also found shot twice in the head, slumped over in the car. Melvin's tragic passing was the building block that Diddy used to cement his legacy, and I believe in the eyes of the corporations, in the eyes of the white record executives, and in the eyes of people that not only saw that as a Black American experience, but they wanted to be a part of it. But did I mention they wanted to be a part of it safely? Now, it's said, and this is according to Diddy, that Janice kept the details of Melvin's grisly murder from her young son, intent on providing him with an idyllic childhood. He was always dressed to the nines, and as a result, he was looked at as a rich kid. Tim Patterson, his childhood best friend, actually said, he played Little League Baseball, served as an altar boy, and made the football team at his all-boys private Catholic high school. But the thing is, back then, before Diddy knew how to lie like the best of them and wear so many masks you didn't know who his true face was, the kids could smell. They could smell it was fake. They could smell that no matter what he said of his lineage, that he was not tough. Tim Patterson actually went on to say that Diddy was actually badly bullied in school. Meanwhile, and this is the whole thing, dressed to the nines, idyllic, his mom, Janice Combs, that had worked 2, 3, 4 jobs to put food on the table. Well, according to Tim Patterson, she also got into the oldest, most profitable business in the world. Patterson says out of his mouth, meanwhile at home, there was always things going on, adding that Janice would frequently throw many parties at home, saying on the weekend, Diddy partied in the house, and we did a lot of that. He was around all types of alcohol. He was around reefer smoke. He was around drug addicts, lesbians, homosexuals. He was around pimps and pushers. And that was just who was in our house. Tim Patterson allegedly lived with Diddy for a little while. People that attended the parties were from Harlem. They were from the streets. It wouldn't be a thing to mistakenly walk into one of the bedrooms and you got a couple in there, butt naked. DJ Easy Lee Lewis, who was also Mount Vernon native, was close with Diddy and spun for Mary J. Blige in her early years. And he noted that while he never attended Janice's parties, he had heard rumors about what occurred at those parties where everyone was welcome. He said Janice had little cool chicks that would come around and let's just say she made sure everybody was comfortable. But it goes on. Again, it's important to note that there are a lot of rumors that Janice may have run a brothel, but it isn't confirmed. But the environment lines up with that kind of energy. You know, you look at it, Diddy was Mount Vernon on the outside, Harlem After Hours Club inside. And he looked like he grew up in a home where the adults weren't protecting the kids. The kids were just surviving the adults. And think about what Tim Patterson said. One thing when I saw Tim Patterson, in the Diddy documentary that really struck in my mind was when he said that you could walk in and out of rooms at any time and be confronted with people having smecks, right? And while I was sitting there in court, something dawned on me as I saw like the umpteenth escort walk up to the stand. They all looked alike. And I said, if this ain't early childhood trauma, I don't know what it is. Because they looked alike to the point that it made me think that there was trauma behind that. Because think about it. Just let me cook. You could walk into the room at any time.
Let me cook.
What if there was a boy that was young like Diddy, that was unsupervised? Because the mom was working 2 or 3 jobs, just trying to make ends meet. Okay? And she decided a quick way to make money. Let's just say you walk into the wrong room. And they said there's already pushers and pimps and users and whatever you want, you could get it. It was a party. Okay, they was trying to make money. At the very least, Janice seems like according to Diddy's friends, seemed like she provided the blueprint for Diddy's early parties, right? Ain't no party like a bad boy party. What if you walked into the wrong room? What if there was somebody high off of their own supply and they were engaged in some illicit conduct? And what if they grabbed Diddy and was brutal with him and threw him out the room? And it reminded me of, what if that person actually looked like all those escorts that Diddy had? They were all very stocky, had the same look. And I remember, and the thing is, I remember thinking this has to be trauma, because when you saw them, we actually did a Hot or Not Diddy's Escort edition on my channel. I did a live.
Oh my
Because I was
God.
actually shocked at the way all the escorts, I would assume if you're paying for it, they would be genetic anomalies, and not just from the waist down, but from the rooter to the tutor. You know, they would be like some fucking shit. But instead, they all had the same look. They looked a little medium, muggly. You know what I'm saying?
Smugly.
And it made me think that maybe there is some early childhood about what he experienced. And remember how he said that they would grab him? I mean, they said that he would make his victim and an escort, and he would go in the corner butt naked with like a burqa, or hiding, or like a bandana, naked with a bandana and a baseball cap, right? I remember how he would make them do stuff, and then he would grab the woman and be brutal with her and beat her up in the next room, and then make her smear all that stuff all from the last man all over his body, and then would go out and finish.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just giving childhood trauma. I just remember in the court looking at the medium smuggly faces and being like, it's giving childhood trauma. Anyway, right? Let's get back into this. And let's also talk about Diddy being the rich kid who got bullied. He was always dressed to the nines. He looked just like a rich kid. If you guys watch my coverage, the one thing that stuck out to me is I think Diddy being in Mount Vernon, right? But still having that mess going on, I think he learned the importance of image. Everybody was coordinated, from his kids to his mom. Even Janice's wigs were coordinated with Diddy's sweater. Diddy had his hair grayed, but he had a shape up. But it was obvious it wasn't real, right? He had on like a Cliff Huxtable sweater, which I thought was a bad move, because I'm like, you are associating too much with Bill Cosby. I know we know Cliff Huxtable. You are Bill Cosby right now. But everybody, even his children, were all coordinated head to toe. Again, I think from his childhood, that's where Diddy knew and learned that image is in power. And if you get the right image and you dress the right way, baby, you can get anything. Friends, right? You can get people to bow at your feet. You can get anything you want. And I think that's even how he even got his idea of building his mystique, and of course, getting the record people. In my opinion, I think all this created a child who learned to armor himself with image, performance, aggression. Again, he wasn't feared at school at all. He built a persona that people would fear. He built a persona of a tough Harlem guy. And he attached himself to a bunch of street dudes from the same gang. They were running Harlem back then. And he attached himself to enough people that had street credibility, where the average person didn't know who he was. They didn't know the kid that was walking around a crazy house. They didn't know a kid that was bullied in Catholic school. They didn't know that kid They knew the kid that had protection, that had the same game protecting him. And they knew that if they wanted to sign with him, he was a street dude that could actually get him access in the rooms. The weird part is the people that sign with Diddy, Diddy's notorious for fleecing his artists, okay? But the weird part about the people that signed with him didn't even realize that Diddy was then taking that credibility he got from being in the street and bringing it into the record labels that were obsessed with black culture, that were obsessed. They wanted to hang out. So he used the street credibility to get money, to get artists, to get the talent. And he used that to bring around the pretty girls. And once he brought in the pretty girls,
got that right.
Then he could create a party atmosphere. And once he created a party atmosphere, then he could take that to the white execs and say, you see this? Yeah, it looks like your favorite rap video. I can bring you into that. I can get you into the party. You ain't got to worry. You're with me. Sign on that contract. And all this talent, I'll bring them in for a fraction of the cost. And the thing is, Diddy looked at them, the record executives, and said, we can get rich together. And the only people that suffered was the community that he swore he was helping out. But I don't think that's a big deal because Diddy never came from Harlem. He was Mount Vernon to his heart, for good and bad. But part of that, just to rewind back, is also his early sexualization. And this came straight from his mouth. He said in a Vibe interview in 1999, I was just acting just like the P-stars act. I was smacking that ass, flipping her over because I saw that in a movie. This man lost his virginity at 12 years old. You think about it, exposure to P and adult sex at parties, that equals zero boundaries and high confusion. Diddy didn't learn intimacy, he learned performance. He discovered sex through dysfunction, not affection. And when you add in the exposure, the alleged exposure to violence inside the home, let's not forget Gene Dill, the bodyguard who I interviewed. He claimed he saw a young Diddy physically lash out at his own mother. Now, this hasn't been verified because I wasn't there, but it is consistent with a household lacking boundaries. Because kids repeat chaos they're raised in, sometimes even against the people who raised them. And that's where this paradigm starts. Diddy learned at an early age to use identity as a weapon. Again, Tim Patterson, who lived with Diddy for a time in childhood, said, I truly believe it all goes back to childhood. In my opinion, this childhood produced a man wired for control, for dominance, for performance, for myth building, for rage under pressure, and for unhealthy masculinity. Again, regardless of what happened in that home, only Diddy, Tim Patterson, Janice Combs, and the people that allegedly came out of those parties happened. But when it started boiling over into a little boy lost, into a monster that was sharpening his teeth, is when Diddy actually went to college, the Howard years. Because what he did in Howard laid the groundwork for every horrible thing he was accused of and convicted of in trial. You guys, join me for the Diddy File Part 2, where we delve into those horrific years. Because if you feel any splash of empathy for the little boy that grew up lost, wait till you hear the monster he grew into and the women he chose to abuse.
Dang, y'all. I'm trying to tell y'all, man. Diddy, dude, that's amazing how somebody can freaking just handle the whole industry, because he was making the deals. If you want in, you got to sell your soul. And Diddy is the one to show you how to sell it and connect you with all the people that's buying the soul. And I'm trying to get a grip on selling your soul. What does that mean? Selling your soul means that you give up that little virgin hold. You like, dang, should I do this? I mean, it's only one night, 2 nights, 3 nights. 3 nights with 3 different people. And they it got something to do with fresh meat. It's like, if you're a man, I wanna break in a real man. That type of thing. That's what I'm thinking that's happening, man. and they get off on that. I'm assuming. Ew, I think all of it's nasty, even with the toilet water. I think that's nasty too. Well, I guess you gotta be a nasty person to just, if you're gonna drink out the toilet, then you probably bend over. So, yeah. And I mean, my antennas is up, man. Like, just like the Lil Rod thing, man. Lil Rod said he done woke up, couldn't remember nothing. Hold up, dude. You woke up, couldn't remember something, and you wake up in a bed full of good girls. You supposed to be doing music. You wake up in a bed full of girls, but you can't remember what happened. That right there would let me know that I ain't drinking nothing and I ain't eating nothing. In fact, pay me my money. I want to buy my own food. I done seen. He said he also saw the room with all the security cameras at. Said, damn, it's a. Gene Deal said it's 250 cameras. You mean to tell me you stayed with all that stuff? Oh my God. I don't know. I don't know what it is, man. I think it's me. But I will be getting the heck out of Dodge. And I did that plenty of times. Hey, I'm going to get on up out of here. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.